Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from London. I'm Oliver Regan and these are the headlines. Nurses in the UK begin an unprecedented strike demanding better wages and working conditions. Up to 100,000 nurses are holding day-long stoppages of work after rejecting a government pay offer. After suitcases of cash, now investigators probe payments made by credit card, owned by somebody called The Giant, as a possible Moroccan link emerges to the snowballing scandal. President Emmanuel Macron defends his decision to visit Qatar to support France's World Cup team, despite allegations linking the Gulf monarchy to corruption in the European Parliament. China to crack down on users who like social media posts that are considered inappropriate by authorities. According to a report, the new directives come into effect today. Kane Williamson steps down as New Zealand's Test captain, but will continue to lead the team in white ball cricket. Pacer Tim Southey will take over as the Test skipper. Britain's troubles around striking workers are set to worsen. Nurses in England, Wales and Northern Ireland are on a 12-hour strike. This work stoppage is the largest action of its kind in the history of Britain's National Health Service. Surgery and other planned procedures are likely to be disrupted. The biggest impact is likely to be in pre-booked treatments such as hernia repairs, hip replacements or outpatient clinics. Reports say nursing staff will continue to provide emergency care and chemotherapy and critical care functions will continue. The action will involve nurses in around a quarter of hospitals across the UK, barring Scotland. A second day-long nurses' strike has also been announced for the 20th. The strike comes amidst a stalemate between the Royal College of Nursing and the British government. The RCN said staff had been given no choice but to go on strike after ministers refused to reopen pay talks. The UK government said the RCN's 19% pay rise demand was unaffordable. A report said more than 40,000 nurses have walked away from the NHS in the past year. That's 1 in 9 of the total workforce.
I have made it very clear that if they want to avert the strike on Thursday and on the 20th of December and moving forward, we needed to get into a room with myself to discuss pay or with conciliation through ACAS. I went into that room today with hopes, obviously, and came out with not one single brown penny.
I would say what we've tried to do is to take the politics out of this by making sure that we have an independent pay review body. We've listened to that independent pay review body and we've honoured the settlement that they suggested.
Strikes are due to take place in multiple sectors in the month of December. Union estimates forecast more than 1 million working days will be lost this month, making it the worst month for disruption since July 1989. Workers across a range of sectors have gone on strike in recent months, from rail workers to teachers, postal staff to lawyers. Official data showed the UK had recorded the highest number of working days lost to labour disputes in October for more than 10 years. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has announced plans today to introduce anti-strike laws to protect lives and livelihoods. New details continue to emerge in the corruption scandal that has rocked the European Parliament. A Greek lawmaker has been detained, while Brussels guesses who might be next. The investigators probing the Gulf-linked corruption scandal have alleged that a former Italian member of the European Parliament took bribes from Morocco, and the payments were made by a credit card owned by someone called the Giant. The accusations were made in a search warrant issued against the wife of former member of the European Parliament, Antonio Panzeri. He's one of 4 people arrested in the EU bribery case. The warrant has now been obtained by several Western media houses, where it states Panzeri is suspected of accepting payment for intervening politically for the benefit of Qatar and Morocco. He says there are indications that Panzeri has participated in a, quote, possible criminal organisation with the knowledge and participation of his wife Maria Corleone. The couple allegedly spent $100,000 on a Christmas holiday, with all expenses paid with the credit card belonging to the Giant. Panzeri was the chairman of the European Parliament's delegation for relations with the Arab Maghreb Union, which includes Morocco. Corleone, along with her daughter, have been arrested after being accused of participation in a criminal organisation, corruption and laundering the proceeds of the crime in the obtained warrant. If convicted, they risk up to 5 years in jail. And it's not just the former Italian lawmaker, but British MPs have found themselves defending the gifts they received from the Qatari government ahead of the World Cup. The Qatari government spent more than £260,000 on gifts, hospitality and travel on British MPs since October last year. Although there's no clear evidence of Qatari bribes to UK officials, many rights activists have slammed the lawmakers for taking gifts from Doha. It all unveils as Brussels continues to investigate the scandal, where a senior lawmaker, Eva Kaili, along with 4 other people, have been arrested after bags of cash were recovered from their offices and residences. Well, to that, a major corruption scandal in the European Parliament, and it has voted to strip Greek lawmaker Eva Kaili of her role as Vice President. After she was arrested by Belgian police, Kaili is one of 4 people targeted as part of a probe into alleged payments and gifts made by Qatar to Parliament members. The suspended lawmaker is currently in custody in Belgium, where she will remain until the 22nd of December. Kaili, who along with Qatar has denied any wrongdoing, was due to appear before judges with 3 other suspects on Wednesday, but did not appear for the session. Her lawyer said she'd asked for more time to prepare for her detention hearing. Kaili's partner, Francesco Giorgi, who is a parliamentary assistant, will stay in detention. So will fellow accused Pier Antonio Panzeri, a former member of EU Parliament and founder of a non-profit campaign group. Earlier, her legal team insisted that she was innocent and did not know of the existence of cash found at her Brussels home. They said that her Italian boyfriend, Giorgi, might have answers about the existence of the cash in question. The Belgian police have meanwhile released photos of suitcases and briefcases packed with the cash recovered from one of the suspects' homes, while Kaili and her team deny any charges. EU Parliament leaders have condemned the alleged act of corruption.
Well, obviously we are very worried about the reports about corruption in the European Parliament, but I'm also very much supporting the European Parliament President, Metsola. I think she made some excellent interventions over the last 48 hours. She will be with us tomorrow at the European Council, and I will give her my full support in her work to get to the bottom of this.
The allegations are extremely serious. The investigations are still ongoing and there is a presumption of innocence. But to anyone accepting payoffs, kickbacks, bribes, I say, shame on you.
Well, for more, joining us live from Brussels is our correspondent Rosie Burchard. Rosie, this scandal seems to be engulfing the EU. Bring us the latest and tell us what we can expect to happen from now.
Brussels is absolutely embroiled in this news. This scandal has been snowballing over the last few days. It all started last Friday when Brussels police launched what was certainly here seen as a surprise probe, raids across the city, and hundreds of thousands of euros of cash recovered, and really kind of sheer blatant, of what it seems to be blatant bribes. However, as you've mentioned, those targeted have so far denied any wrongdoing. Now, the one that has caused most ripples, shockwaves here in Brussels really is that Vice President of the European Parliament, Eva Kaili, because she is a senior European lawmaker sitting in post, though of course now she has been stripped of that title, kicked out of the European Parliament, and also kicked out of her own domestic party in Greece, though the European Parliament President Roberta Metsola, when she was announcing these moves, did note that she did not want to say anything which might counter the presumption of innocence, which is of course accorded to Kaili under Belgian law. Now, as you mentioned, several of those accused of corruption, money laundering and participation in criminal organisation were due in court in Brussels on Wednesday, and let me tell you, this courtroom, or outside the courtroom at least, was heaving full of journalists, cameras everywhere, but everything was entirely behind closed doors. The accused were, it seems, ushered out a back entrance so that no press were able to see them, but it was confirmed that Eva Kaili, who is that suspect that I mentioned previously, did not attend the court and will instead have a separate date on the 22nd of December. Now, we'll be waiting until then to see what more kind of lurid details are exposed in this case. First, it was hundreds of thousands of euros in cash. Now that's gone up to about 1.5 million euros in cash recovered. I've seen photos from sources at the European Parliament of offices taped over with police tape. And I think the question really on the lips of lawmakers and leaders which are gathering here in Brussels today is, how far is this going to go? 4 people have been accused and arrested and charged so far. Is this going to go any deeper? And more importantly, what kind of damage could this do to the credibility of European democracy?
Rosie Burchard in Brussels, many thanks for your insight. Just making speeches at various forums has earned former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson over £1 million over the past few months. The latest register of MPs' interest says Johnson made £754,000 for 3 speeches he made last month at audiences in India, America and Portugal. On the 17th of November, he received over £260,000 from Hindustan Times. Centreview Partners, a New York-based investment banking firm, paid Mr Johnson over £270,000 for a speech he made on the 9th of November. This came on top of a £276,000 he made from a speech in October, and some £215,000 from Televisão Independente, a Portuguese TV station. Among those funding these events and speeches in Colorado Springs, media baron Rupert Murdoch, besides multiple insurance agents and brokers in attendance there. Boris Johnson was replaced by Liz Truss in September this year after he resigned from his post, followed by a mass revolt of ministers over controversies, blaming Johnson for being too slow in handling a sexual misconduct allegation against former Deputy Chief Whip Chris Pincher. After rumours of his standing down from Parliament after being ousted by Prime Minister, Mr Johnson told his local Conservative Party that he will stand again as an MP at the next general election. The UK government will soon ease some rules regarding security checks at airports. From 2024, passengers at most British airports will be able to carry liquids in 2-litre containers, a huge jump from the current limit of 100 millilitres. The bill, which will be tabled today, is the biggest relaxation of aviation security rules in decades. Until June 2024, major airports will have to install new high-tech 3D scanners that show a more detailed image of the baggage. The scanners are similar to the CT scan equipment seen in hospitals. Government officials say that their requirement for airports to upgrade screening equipment means that eventually the rules on electrical items can be also lifted and the liquid limit extended. Simply put, travellers will no longer need to carry the containers in clear plastic bags or remove tablets and laptops from hand luggage at checkpoints. The legislation will be passed in a phased manner across the country over the next 2 years. For travellers, remember that current rules will still apply at airports not using the technology, and they're advised to check the requirements before travelling to avoid delays. UK's Transport Secretary Mark Harper says the new technology will reduce queue times to improve the passenger experience and, most importantly, detect potential threats. Current airport security rules were introduced in 2006 when the British police said they'd followed a plot to blow up as many as 10 planes using explosives hidden in drinks bottles. A Turkish court has sentenced Istanbul's mayor and Erdogan's rival to more than 2 years in prison. The court has also banned Ekrem İmamoğlu, a popular rival of President Erdogan, from politics. The ruling comes just 6 months ahead of the scheduled presidential and parliamentary elections. İmamoğlu supporters described the move as politically motivated and an effort to sideline the high-profile rival of the president. The mayor was handed over a prison term for calling members of Turkey's Supreme Election Council fools in a press release 3 years ago. İmamoğlu did not attend any trial hearings or the sentencing. The Istanbul Mayor is also expected to appeal the ruling. The appeal would allow him to stay in office in the meantime. He would, however, remain weighed down by court hearings for up to a year and a half as the country heads towards a general election. As soon as the verdict came, the mayor's supporters gathered in front of the town hall. They hope his ban from politics might eventually prove counterproductive, aiding İmamoğlu's rise on the same lines as Erdogan's. İmamoğlu rose to power on a wave of support in 2019. He won twice as the original result was annulled by the election council. İmamoğlu's victory in 2019 gave the CHP control of Turkey's largest city. Losing the city, which makes up 40% of the country's GDP, came as a symbolic blow to Erdogan. Erdogan formerly held the same position before he was removed from office and jailed for 4 months for inciting religious hatred. The İmamoğlu verdict represents the latest step in a crackdown on key figures from the opposition Republic People's Party. The Republican Party is considered Erdogan's main challenger in the vote. Earlier this year, the head of the Republican People's Party's Istanbul branch was banned from politics. She was also given a suspended 5-year prison sentence on charges of insulting the Republic of Turkey and President Erdogan in tweets accusing him of theft. In January, a court is due to decide upon whether to ban the majority Kurdish People's Democratic Party from politics.
His victory by a few thousand votes was cancelled.
Vincin olduğu yer ciddi anlamda çok sıkıştı. Türk bayraklarımızı neredeyse
Defending champions France are through to a second consecutive World Cup final after ending the dream run of a gritty Moroccan side in the semi-final at Qatar 2022. The two-time winners edged past the Atlas Lions 2-0 to set up a blockbuster clash with Lionel Messi's Argentina on Sunday. France are aiming to become the first team to win back-to-back titles in 60 years, and they got off to the perfect start. Fullback Theo Hernandez scored an acrobatic goal in the 5th minute to silence the rapturous Moroccan support at the Al Bayt Stadium. France's all-time leading goalscorer, Olivier Giroud, then hit the post. Despite early injuries to two key defenders, the Atlas Lions were never overawed. Substitute centre-back Jawad El Yamik almost equalised with a spectacular overhead kick towards the end of the first half. Morocco came out on the front foot after the break and controlled possession, but France settled the nerves in the 79th minute when a brilliant dribble by Kylian Mbappe set up substitute Randall Kolo Muani to tuck in the decisive goal. Morocco lost the match, but their performance showed why they have been such a glorious surprise package at this World Cup.
I'm always so proud when we achieve a result like this. It was the last step we had to take to reach Sunday's final. It wasn't easy, but with the right mix of quality and experience, and with our team spirit, we were able to dig deep when things got tough. And as coach, that gives me so much satisfaction and pride in the group of players we have out there. It's not really thinking about myself, but about the players.
Si j'ai des regrets sur ce match, c'est surtout le début de match. C'est d'avoir encaissé ce but rapidement, qui a donné encore plus de certitude à l'équipe de France pour rester dans son schéma. On avait dit que s'ils nous laisseraient le ballon, on le prendrait. Ils nous l'ont laissé, mais on a fait trop d'erreurs techniques à ce niveau-là pour pouvoir, en tout cas en première mi-temps, leur poser des problèmes. En deuxième mi-temps, on a été un peu plus, on va dire, adroit. On a moins perdu de ballon, on leur a posé des problèmes, on s'est créé beaucoup de situations. Mais on n'a pas été décisif dans les derniers 30 mètres.
Crowds in Paris and other French cities erupted in shouts of joy as France advanced to the World Cup final for a fourth time. Football fans streamed to the Champs-Élysées Avenue in Paris, shooting off firecrackers and flares. Many were brandishing French flags and singing, "We are in the final."
It was a great game against against one of the best teams of the tournament, the sensation of the tournament. So we can be proud of our team of France, and we are very happy, and we have to celebrate it. We have to celebrate this with everybody.
Amazing! 4 years after, we still the moment. We have to beat them. We have to win. We're gonna win like 2 times in a row. I know that Brazil and Germany did it, Italy and Brazil did it. It's for France now.
Well, that's all from your WION Live broadcast from London. I'm Oliver Egan. See you at the same time in the same place tomorrow.
Arab